Hello guys, my name is Cyrus E. Pasawa, student of Civil Engineering from TIP or Technological Institute of the Philippines. In this video, our topic is solving quadratic equations by extracting square roots. But first, we need to familiarize the numbers that are perfect squares, like 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, and so on and so forth. We need to know the perfect and not perfect squares because we need it to solve quadratic equations by subtracting square roots. Quadratic equations that can be written in the form of x squared is equal to k can be solved by applying the following properties. First, if k is greater than 0, then x squared is equal to k. It has two real solutions or roots, so we will have x is equal to the positive or negative square root of k. Second, if k is equal to 0, x squared is equal to k. It has two solutions or roots, which is x is equal to 0. Last, third, if k is less than to 0, then x squared is equal to k. It has no solutions or roots. Why? Because there is no real number when squared gives a negative number. So we don't have number that if we squared, the product is negative. So it has no solutions. Alright, how do we read these kind of expressions? So the first expressions read as x is equal to the positive or negative square root of 36. And this expression read as the square root of the quantity of x minus 5 squared. So we will now go on how to extract square roots. Okay, so since our given is perfect square, we all know that 36 is perfect square. So it will be easy on us if the given is perfect square. First, get the square root of both sides. So we will now have the square root of x squared is equal to the positive or negative square root of 36. Remember that we square root the both sides. The next step, get the square root of x squared. So we will have x. Then on the other side, get the square root of 49. That will become 7, right? So our answer is x is equal to the positive or negative 6. Next example. Again, 196 is a perfect square. So again, our first step, get the square root of both sides. So we will now have the square root of x squared is equal to positive or negative the square root of 196. Then the square root of x squared is x. On the other side, the square root of 196 is 14. So our answer is the x is equal to positive or negative 14. Now, what if the given is not a perfect squared? So we also need to learn how to solve not squared number. Example, the given is not a perfect squared. How we will subtract it? 18 is not a perfect square. So what our first step? The first step is we will think the factors of 18 that have a number of perfect square. Get a factors of 18 that have a perfect square. So let's have an example. So this is the table to have your reference. X squared is equal to 75. Our given is not a perfect square. So first, get the square root of both sides. So we will now have the square root of x squared is equal to square root of 75. So what are the factors of 75 that have a perfect square? We can factor this using 25 times 3 because 25 is perfect squares, right? So we will now have x is equals to positive or negative square root of 25 times 3. We have the 25 times 3 because the 75 is not a perfect square. So it is important to be familiar with this table to solve quadratic equations by subtracting square roots. Now, let's get the square root of perfect square. X is equal to the positive or negative square root 25 times 3. We all know that 25 is perfect square, so we will have x is equal to the positive or negative square root of 25 times square root of 3. So the square root of 3 remain from its position because 3 is not a perfect square. Next example. X squared is equals to 80. The 80 is not perfect square. We will now get the square root of both sides. We have now the square root of x squared is equal to the square root of 80. So let us now find the factors of 80 that have a perfect square. So we have 16 times 5. The 16 is perfect square, so x is equal to the positive or negative square root 16 times 5. So get the square root of the perfect square. Since 16 is perfect square, so x is equal to the positive or negative square root of 16 times square root of 5. 16 is perfect square, so we will subtract it and the answer is x is equal to the positive or negative 4 times square root of 5. Next. So, what if they give you this kind of example? So, we have here 2, the quantity of x minus 5 squared is equal to 32. So, first, we need to divide both sides by 2 so we can cancel the 2. So, we will have now the quantity of x minus 5 squared is equals to 16. Why 16? Because we divide it both sides by 2. So 32 divided by 2 is 16. Next, get the square root of both sides. The square root of the quantity of x minus 5 squared is equal to the square root of 16. So the square root of this is x minus 5 is equal to positive or negative 4. Since 4 maybe it is positive or negative, we will have two equations. The first equation is x minus 5 is equals to 4. So we will solve for x. So that will become x is equals to 4 plus, therefore x is equals to 9. This is our first root of solutions. On the other side, x minus 5 is equals to negative 4. So, x is equal to negative 4 plus 5. So, the answer is x minus 1. So, the root of given quadratic equation is 9 and 1. Next example. 3. The quantity of 4x minus 1 squared minus 1 is equals to 11. So, because we have here minus 1, we put this one on the other side. So, it will become 3 the quantity of 4x minus 1 squared is equals to 12. So, 11 plus 1 is equal to 12. So, now, we have the 3. To cancel the 3, we need to divide both sides by 3. So, we can cancel the 3 now. What's left is the quantity of 4x minus 1 squared minus 4. Why 4? Remember, we divide both sides by 3. So, 12 divided by 3 is 4. The next step is get the square root both sides. So, we will have the square root of the quantity of 4x minus 1 squared is equals to the square root of 4. So, square root of this is 4x minus 1 is equals to the positive or negative 2. So again, since our 2 is maybe positive or negative, we will have again two equations. So the first equation is 4x minus 1 is equals to 2. So we have 4x is equal to 3. Why 3? We add the 1 here to the 2. Next, divide both sides by 4. So we have x is equals to 3 over 4. On the other side, 4x minus 1 is equals to negative 2. 4x is equal to negative y. Negative 1. Why? Because we add again the 1 on the other side. Divide again both sides by 4. So we will now have x is equal to negative 1 over 4. Next example. I have here 2 the quantity of x minus 3 squared is equal to 18. So first, get the square root both sides. Since we don't have a number outside the parentheses, that means we don't need to divide. So we will now have the square root of the quantity of 2x minus 3 squared is equal to the square root of 18. The 18 is not perfect square, so we will find the factor of 18. Remember, the table that I gave you earlier. Earlier. Yes. So now, we will now have 9 times 2. The 9 is perfect square, so it will be the square root of the quantity of 2x minus 3 squared is equal to the positive or negative square root times 9 times 2. Since again, 9 is perfect square, we will now have 2x minus 3 is equals to the positive or negative 3 times square root of 2. Since it may be positive or negative, it means we have two equations here. So we will have 2x minus 3 is equal to 3 square root of 2. Then it will be 2x minus 3 plus 3 square root of 2. We'll now have the x is equal to 3 plus 3 square root of quantity of 2 over 2. Why? Why x? Because we divide both sides by 2. On the other side, 2x minus 3 is equals to negative 3 square root of 2. So 2x is equals to 3 minus 3 times square root of 2. The answer is x is equals to 3 minus 3 the square root of 2 over 2. Why x again? Because we divide it both sides by 2. And that's all. That's the example on solving quadratic equation by extracting square roots. I hope you learned with this video. Thank you for watching.